Hey, Internet. Well, tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. We even have a two for one. We have a bicycle and a trailer, and we also have two cats out here tonight. We have, of course, Simba, who's always out here to keep an eye on things, but we also have Shadow. And Shadow is having a good investigation here. He's checking out his favorite banana pepper in the back of the trailer. We'll let him continue on while we have a look. So tonight we're going to have a closer look at another one of the bikes that I purchased from Bikes Direct. This is a Motobecane Strada V4, and it does have a few mods, and we're going to talk about that and why there are mods on it. Here comes Simba. Hey, dude. And we'll try to cover the mods as we go through. These are not the original tires. These are the WTB Rattler. They have a pretty interesting tread. The grips on them are really soft, so if you're on pavement, you have actual feel. You can feel the grips moving around, but if you're on gravel or hard pack, it's remarkably good traction. And that's what we originally had this bike intended for, doing some kind of local rides through a combination of greenways and gravel trails. And on the few times that I got to take it out on that ride, it performed really well, but it kind of has a new role now. As you can see, has the trailer attached, so it's mostly used for pulling the trailer and taking our cats out on rides around the neighborhood. These are the original wheels. We did change out the tubes because the tubes that came with it were just really nasty, very, very heavy. The tires that came with it too were incredibly heavy. They're just, I wouldn't even consider the tires and tubes that came with this bike as actual rideable. You could probably get away with it, but I wouldn't use it for any length of time. And you can see I'm highlighting the valve here. Not a fan. Up on the front they have a nice decal. Not a decal. This is actual applied piece here. So it looks nice, and the finish is really unique. I think it was something like titanium gray or something. Now it did come with this nick here already repaired. It came like that as well. There's another similarly repaired nick on the other tube as well, but this bike had a lot of things that were wrong with it. So let's kind of go through it, I guess, as we're going from front to back, because we did change from the front here. We did change out the headset. The original headset had a wobble. There was actually the fork would move, kind of hop up and down a little bit. Not hop and down, actually forward and back, so kind of like it was loose in the socket. And no amount of tightening on the bearing on the nut on the top would tighten that up at all. In fact, I destroyed the Star Spangled nut up on the top and attempting to try and tighten it. So at the bike shop, they put a new headset in, and it pretty much solved the problem, but that's kind of not cool. Down here, a little bit further down, this isn't the same bottom bracket. The bottom bracket had a wobble in it too, but it wasn't really in the bottom bracket. It was the way that the pedal attached to it. And I first noticed it when I started pedaling, that the angle of the pedal would change because it felt like as you were pedaling, it was kind of like an axial tilt. I could feel the pedal turning like that as well as going around and around. It was twisting as it went around, and that was really uncomfortable. It turned out it wasn't in the pedal as I thought, but actually in how the crank was attached to the bottom bracket. So the shop had to replace the bottom bracket. Now I could have done all this stuff under warranty, but I just don't have the time or the patience. So I trust my shop to put the proper parts in, and they did, and that's fixed. But when I got it back, the other thing that had to be adjusted was the chain ring. Now that wasn't anything exactly that was wrong with it. The chain ring was not broken or anything, but this was the original chain ring that came with it. And you can see the chain ring that I've put on there is quite a bit smaller. To be honest, I don't remember the exact difference in the teeth, But it was a pretty big hop in changing the chainring down, because it was just geared unbelievably tall. There was just no reason for the gears to be that tall. Plus, this chainring it's extremely heavy. It's steel, and it came with this. It's ridiculous, you know. So changing out the chainring, helped a lot with the drive ratios, and also helped a bit in the weight. But it wasn't a particularly heavy bike as it was, but that did help there. So, I knew the chainring that was on it was the ratio that it was, and, I didn't have to buy it that way. And to be honest, I expected to change the chainring anyways, because I could see that protector was adding a lot of unnecessary weight. So, I can't really call it a negative on the bike, but, I did have to replace that bottom bracket. But, now that I have, I'm really happy with the way the drive works. Rear derailleur here. SRAM X4. I think this is an 8-speed transmission. Probably should have double checked that. I got too many bikes in the head lately, but yeah, that's a 8-speed cassette, and it shifts really well. This combination of the shifter and derailleur work really well. This derailleur has taken a pretty big hit. You can actually see some pretty good scrapes on it. I wiped out on this thing in January of this year, and damaged my shoulder pretty hard, landing on very hard wood, which of course was slippery because it was wet, and I should have seen that coming. Bikes Direct for having a replacement derailleur hanger, because in the fall the derailleur hanger got pranked pretty good. The derailleur survived. Credit to SRAM for building a tough derailleur. Moving up the rear triangle, I want to highlight some of the negative aspects, I guess you could say, of this kind of a bike. The Bikes Direct, not one of the top tier brands. Motobecane, obviously not a real brand name now. It's just a name that they purchased. And you can see some of the welds aren't the greatest there. Down here at the bottom, above the bottom bracket, pretty rough. Up in the front here as well. And these are minor things. It doesn't affect the ride. It doesn't affect the angle of the tube, and it doesn't affect the strength. But it does look a little shoddy. You wouldn't see that on on a Marin or a Giant. In the back, for the brakes, these are like generic Tektro. There's probably a model for them. But the brakes have remarkably good braking power. They modulate nice, they pull nice, they're hydraulic, so there was no setup at the bike. It was basically just bolt the brakes on, and they were pre-adjusted, ready to go. I do have kind of a funny riding position, so I did have to put in the maximum spacers that it allowed. I did pick up a Salsa handlebar stem. This is a stock handlebar, and it was actually a pretty nice handlebar. It's quite wide. It's light. It's sturdy though. I'm happy with the handlebar. Here's a shifter and brake. It's not incorporated, so it's a separate shifter and brake. Brakes feel good. Cap here for maintenance. And it does have that little display panel on it, which shows its level and the spec of the SRAM shifters. But it works, and it does the job. I will say that the action is unique. It's push to change, and push to change up as well. So it's not push like this and pull to get it back. It's push both ways, which it does feel a bit awkward at times. But overall, it's a good solid bike now that I've made those improvements in the headset and the bottom bracket. I expected to change the pedals, so I wasn't too excited about changing those out. I was kind of shocked at the low end of the tubes and tires that it came with, but it gave me an opportunity to pick tires that I liked. I'm happy with the derailleur. It shifts really well. I did have to change out the chainring to put in some kind of a usable gear ratio on it. Otherwise, you'd never really get out of the lower or the upper gears. It was just so tall. And yeah, it does have a lot of options. You can see it's got a lot of raisons, a lot of mount points there for some kind of packs. Let's go have a look at the trailer for our second part. And we now have Oscar joining us out here. Hi, Oscar. He's also a good cat. This is the Retrospec Rover Waggin, and oh, I didn't even notice. Simba's under there too. Well, see, they're claiming the trailer because they actually really enjoy getting in this and going around the neighborhood. Now, they only go in one at a time because they get excited, but we have that banana pepper in there, and Shadow had a good time. He's gone back in the house now. He's all hyped up on Mountain Dew. Here, now I want to replace this with a carpet, but something from the hang on to better. The carpet is a lot less slipperier than this. It's got a leash that attaches inside that can be adjusted. Of course, zipper to close. In the back here is where I keep the toy. Both sides are screened in and they can't be opened, but the front does have an ability to open, so it can be unzipped here. And this gives it a full open air. Now, none of the boys that I take out in this like having the open air. They get a little too excited and try to crawl out, even when they're attached to the leash. I've got a picture of Simba in this with his front paws sticking out and his whole head sticking here, so he's almost really out of it, being held in by the leash. So we don't open this up when we're riding, but if you have more well-behaved animals, you can. And if it's raining, you even have a clear cover you can unstrap, and it also attaches up to the screen here. It attaches to the bike using a mechanism up on the front. So we'll just unhook it here. So we had to do that with two hands, but you can see we just have to pull the pin and then the hinge comes off. And then this part here stays on the bike. When you want to hook the trailer back on again, slides on the pivot, and then a lock pin here. And a lock pin back in like that. And a safety strap, if you want. And it does fold up. Internally, you can open up this beam here and fold this beam down. This beam will fold forward, allowing both sides here to collapse. So it's kind of a hassle to put it back up, so I'm not going to do it, but you can do it and fold it up. It normally stores over in our corner. It doesn't need to be folded up, so but you can fold it up if you need to. And the tires are not too bad. They are at least inflatable. You do put air in them, so they're not solid. There's no real suspension other than the tires themselves, but they work really well, and we've had a lot of fun. We really just kind of go around the neighborhood. We do one cat at a time. As you can see, they're all excited to get into it and go for a ride, but unfortunately it's just too cold. But hopefully we'll be back out on the road here and going out in the cat trails. Look out, Oscar. But that's a look at the Retrospec Rover Waggin. I do want to say just one thing real quick back again about the Bikes Direct Motobecane Strada V4. We bought two of these because we like to have kind of matching bikes, my wife and I. So we've got two of these, and it wasn't a giant investment. In fact, I think mine was $329 and hers was $299, and that's free shipping too. So, two bikes for under $630. That's why I wasn't too upset about having to put a little bit of money into the headset and bottom bracket, and the chainring, of course, getting the gearing the way I like it. The tires were a bit of a surprise. I wasn't too happy about having to change the tires on it quite that soon, because the tires in the pictures looked actually not too bad. But when you got a closer look at them, you could see they were really like lower tier tires. But those concerns with the headset and the bottom bracket, and even some of the welding issues I noticed here, and the blemishes in the paint, those weren't on my wife's bike. Hers was, excellent. The headset was perfect. Everything's great on it. The finish is great. There's no blemishes. It does have to have the chain ring changed, of course, but other than that chain ring, and the tires, it was great and good to go. So, generally for the price and for what it is, I'm pretty happy with hers. I probably should have been a little bit more insistent on having some of the issues with this one handled at the factory, but I just didn't really have the patience to do so. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to get in the middle of what appears to be some sort of a territorial squabble. But they're settled for now. I would say I would give this Motobecane, my particular model, probably a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10, compared to my wife's probably closer to a 7 out of 10. I would give this Retrospec Range Rover Range Rover Waggin for Rare Rovers, a good 8 out of 10. So no sponsorship here, obviously, just having fun. Thanks, Internet. Have an awesome night.